Hey friends, it's Trevor from History on the Move, and I'm sure you're looking at this going, well, wait a minute, something's new here. It's not just my fancy new haircut. That's not it. Now the President Washington, 5300 here, has not moved, but 3316, right here, has. It was originally, if you remember from the last two episodes of Restoration Review, it was in the paint booth, and that has now since moved and is on track 2 indoors. So right now the American Freedom Train is in the paint booth being brought back to life and obviously painted. But we have been asked to not do any more videos about that, to wait for its grand unveiling. And so we're going to respect those wishes, and we'll go ahead and we can still talk about the 3316, the tavern-lounge-observation car, and the President Washington, the 462 Pacific. So stay tuned. I think you're really going to like these updates. There's some really good ones here. I was very impressed. This is Jamie and George at their finest. So stay tuned. So I'm up on the running boards here at 5300, and this guy behind me has a pretty interesting story to tell. Let's talk about that. So in 1927, when this 5300 was first constructed by Baldwin, it had, every steam locomotive known to man, at least 99.9% of them, a whistle. In this case, a 3-chime. And somewhere between its entry, we'll call it, into Ed Striegel's scrapyard, and when it was put on display right here at the B&O Railroad Museum for the first time in November of 1968, the whistle had gone missing. And so since 1968, we know for a fact, because of photos of it being on display, that it did not have a whistle. And the whistle, in this case, is on the fireman's side of the steam dome. And unfortunately, up until a couple days ago, it didn't have one. So let's get into that. Now, granted, what you see is not a real whistle per se, but it is a good mock-up and a good stand-in. And I have to give just the utmost amount of respect to George Harwood for this. So let's talk about what we're looking at here. First, I do want to say that George is a consummate professional. I will tell you that my time spent with him, talking with him, and learning how he does his craft, the man is a consummate professional. You will not find a better metalsmith, a metal sculptor, a true craftsman when it comes to metal than George Harwood. You just won't. And that's my argument, and I'm sticking to it. So let's talk about this. So George did not have any there are no drawings for this thing, unfortunately. So what he used was some of the good old internet resourcing and some photos from the Rizzoli Locomotive Works website. So what he did was he started with a 6-inch diameter pipe, and you can kind of see that outline here. And so that was the only piece, as he was telling me, that was actually bought and purchased. Everything else that you see is scrap steel and other bits and bobs that were kind of sitting around the shop here. And I think this is really important because George did a phenomenal job using actually the coal forge that we have here and some improvised tooling. And he took that 6-inch diameter steel pipe and he literally forged the bowl portion of it. The remainder of the bowl and the valve and the side inlet was basically eyeballed for proportions and then kind of fabricated. Well, it wasn't kind of. It was fabricated. You can see the welds here as we go along. From basically scrap steel that we had laying around, and it was blended to try to appear as best he could. And I think he did a bang-up job to appear as a casting, because this would have been cast from the factory in Baldwin in 1927, or whoever the whistle manufacturer was for this particular one. And again, not sure off the top of my head. So from there, that 6-inch steel pipe was then cut into the 3 chimes that you can kind of see here. So there's 1, there's 2, and 3 is, let's see if we can get you around the other side. Right there, that gap. So I think that's pretty neat. This was all that this stepped portion here was all welded together and seamed. It was very well done. And this is literally fabrication at its finest. So again, the only thing that was purchased for this whole contraption was that 6-inch steel pipe, and everything else was just fab from stuff that was laying around the shop. And as I love this, as George always says to me, it's just bits of metal until it has a purpose. I love that. It's a good line. But so yeah, he put all this together in such a fashion that you really, you know, once this gets painted and primed and everything else, 5300 will finally have its whistle. Granted, you will never hear it, but from the ground and everywhere else, it will be the belle of the ball in terms of whistles. This is really neat too. George came in here and he fabricated. So this is the original. You can see the pitting in it. Let me get you up close. This is the original reach rod to actuate it, the whistle. And so it comes down here, and all this was, again, this was fabbed by George, bent, you know, heated. Watched him do this, heated, and he bent it, and then it comes down and goes into here. And then this would be the actual, this is what actually does the work. But again, it's just there for show. So I think that is absolutely fascinating and a real testament to what George can do. So let's go around the front on the smoke box. We'll talk about what else George has been up to on 5300. So I've ascended these stairs here on the engineer's side to the running boards. And if we look on the front of the smoke box, we have 2 studs that are sticking out. They're threaded. And they may look unsuspecting, but they have a story to tell us. And so what these are, these actually hold the classification light holders. And what classification lights are, well, we could really do a whole video, and we probably will, about that on this channel. That's something fun to talk about. But classification lights, the quick and dirty, is you've seen them on many steam locomotives, these globe-looking lights that sit on top of these mounts. And what their purpose is to signify to line side workers and or attendants and whatnot as to what the classification of that particular train is. So in 5300's case, in the B&O rule book, you would see that you would either run what they call dark for the lights, which means that they're not on, and that would just be a train that is on the schedule. There's no fanfare. It is just it is a scheduled, timetabled train. Nothing crazy about it. Now, if you show green on the marker lights, that would indicate that it is a section of a train. So let's say the B&O had a train that was heading out. Let's say you were leaving DC and going to Chicago, and that train was oversold and there were too many people, and or maybe it was a local train. They had too many people and they needed a following section. They needed another train behind that. The locomotive of that second train and any train that followed that was in and following the original timetable train would have green marker lights. Now, if you're running with white, which they really kind of look more like amber, but they're white, white would indicate that you are an extra train. You're not on the timetable. You are just meant to run sans timetable. So people would know, hey, this is not a scheduled train. So with that said, 5300 here, as far as I can see, had both of these up into about 2008 when she was moved into the North Car Shop to be indoors. And at some point in that process, the engineer's side classification light bracket went missing. But this is where our story comes to a very happy ending, because behind me, we have that bracket, and I'll get you down the ground. We'll show you the difference between the original fireman side one and the fabricated engineer side one. But this would just sit here like this, and you'd have 2 nuts that go over it, and the globe looking classification light would just slide right into here. And so anyway, let's get on the ground, and I want to show you more about how George put all this together. All right, so I've got you on the ground here with me. Let's have a look-see. So, right side here, this is the original bracket. This came off of the fireman side. This is the original classification light brackets, and you can see this was a forged one-piece. This was a sorry, not forged. This was a casting that was done. You can see all through here. George labeled it. This is the back. So obviously this is the front, and this part, the little slope, has worn away or broken away, and this piece over here has also worn away. But let's have a look-see. Let's compare that to George's, and I have to tell you, there ain't much difference, folks. There ain't much difference. As I've said 100 times, I'll say it again. George Harwood is as good as you could possibly get in this realm. The man is a master of his craft. Let's look here. You can see how he followed the same pattern here and here. And again, this is where the classification lights would slide in. And up top, so this is a fabricated job. George did not cast this, but he fabricated this, which is just mind-blowing. The detail, and you can see where he welded this in and then just used a deburring tool with a carbide bit and kind of just cleaned all that up. And then same, you can see the welds. Let me get you in here. Oop, too close. You can see the welds here. This was obviously all one piece. But yeah, and then he went in here and probably just dug all this out. So yeah, this is utterly amazing. Utterly amazing. So I'll get you a little side-by-side here. So again, engineer side, this is the fireman side, and then the nuts to hold it on. So I think that is absolutely fascinating. My, I have to say, this has been a drastic change since the last time we saw 3316. So we're finished. Those are all the updates I have for you about 5300. Now we're inside 3316, the Tavern Lounge Observation car, and let's get some let's get some of these updates going here. So what I really like was, and I got to see this up close, was I was here the day that they rolled out, well, you heard about rolling out the red carpet. Well, in this case they rolled out the blue carpet, and so this is going to be the carpeting here as well. And so this was done by a company out of Windsor Mill, Maryland. They did a great job. I'll flash their card up on the screen so you can see. They do mostly commercial stuff, but they did a phenomenal job. And if you look at the car itself, just trying to get carpeting into all the nooks and the crannies, especially around the bar, or the settee, absolutely just phenomenal work. Kudos to those guys. This also leads us to looking at the baseboard. So these were cleaned up and installed by the CCBC Restore Baltimore crew, and I think they did also a really good job. And this really shows the level of craftsmanship. This is just something as simple as just seaming this together like this and making sure that everything goes back the way it's supposed to. So I think those guys did a really, really nice job, and very, very thankful for that. So let's keep moving here. Now all of the red pieces for the car are here, and they're ready to be put back together. I believe what's here on the blue, on the settee, this is going to be blue. What do you call it? This is blue fabric. So this was already sent out to a company called Ibello Upholstery, and that's actually fairly close. They're close to the old on Falls Road. They're on the other side of Falls Road, but they're local. I believe it's near the old Mom and Pa Roundhouse. It's in that vicinity. But they're going to be doing the upholstering on that, so that is absolutely ridiculously awesome. The electrical conduit right here, this is going to be what they call in the electrical world a home run. So everything here is going to be run back to the panel that you saw in one of the previous episodes. So how they're going to run it, I don't know yet, but really immaterial. But it'll look phenomenal when it's done. I can promise you that. Let's keep moving here. We talked about the electrical panel. That is, again, that's way in the back there. It's on the other side of the cherry blossom wall. So that was installed. I'll put up a quick little pan of that. That was done in-house. Oh, let's go, while we're in here, let's go look at the bar, what they call the knee wall. So we're in the area here, and obviously they have it all taped off. But, so neat to point out, this was originally painted a different color, and they as they unearthed it, if you will, they got it down, they realized that it is actually, as they removed the vinyl, they realized that on the canopy it was actually colored. It was painted the same color as the roof right here. And so this will eventually go to the I mean, to my eye, it's an aquamarine. I'm sure the B&O had their own color for that, but I don't know what that is off the top of my head. And I'm sure Jamie knows, and I'll have to ask him next time I see him. But yeah, so they're going to repaint this to match the color you see on the ceiling. And so anyway, I was talking about this kneel wall here. So the vinyl that was originally up here was from the early to mid 60s. And so, excuse me, so that has been long removed now, and now they're going to be putting a new vinyl knee wall in place. So that's coming, and it's going to go back to the original color as it came out of Pullman. Let's see, and what I think we should really talk about, and some of the big thing here, is the Stewardess nurse room. Let's go down the hall and have a look. So actually, before we head down that hallway, let me point this out. The windows are in, obviously, as you can see. But the shades and the frames are about to go in as well. That is next on the list here. So the shades will go in. Those are the pull-down shades that are attached up here. So those are the pull-down shades. And then there will be the frames, obviously, that kind of go around, and the sills and all that good business. So all that is on its way going back in. So now let's head down to the Stewardess nurse room. All right, so we're in the Stewardess nurse room here. And if you remember last time, so this has been painted. This is back to the original color. All of the metal work has been cleaned up and slowly coming back here, including the cover for, oh, that's kind of cool, for the heat control. That is pretty neat. I love stuff like that. So anyway, the big thing here is the sink. Now, unfortunately, this was on the list of things that disappeared at some point in this car's life. And we don't know when, we don't know how. At this point, those things are immaterial. But the original sink, again, was part of the items that went goodbye at some point. And there's a gentleman, unfortunately, I only know his first name is Joe. I believe he might be a friend of George Harwood. Don't quote me on that. But he fabricated a replacement stainless steel sink top right here in the B&O's, the restoration shop's wood shop here. So, I mean, if you can see, this is just absolutely gorgeous work. Absolutely gorgeous. So, hats off to Joe. This is grade A work. I am very impressed. Well, as you can see, both 5300 behind me through the window and 3316 are really, really moving now. At some point, we will obviously see 5300 in the paint booth. Couldn't tell you when. We see it when we see it. But 3316, this is, I'm giddy with excitement because this is going to be a beautiful car when it's done. And you know, we really have to tip our hats to both Jamie and George for bringing this thing back to life. If you went to the North Car Shop several years ago, and you saw both items in there, they looked pretty sad and tired, and but at least they were out of the elements. But now, thanks to the dedicated craftsmanship of Jamie and George and the guys from Restore Baltimore, CCBC, and Joe, which I believe is George's friend, if I'm not, sorry, and the multitude of subcontractors that Jamie used to do a lot of, to help get all this work done, is just beyond compare. I'm really impressed every time I see Jamie and George and what they've done. So we'll kind of see how this all looks in the end. I think you'll be really impressed, though. So something I think is very important is whether you do this work, say here at the B&O Railroad Museum or elsewhere, you do your own restoration work on whatever it is so vital and important to document these things. Get out there with your camera, your iPhone, take notes. Just get out there and make sure that everything is documented, because this is the records that are kept, for hopefully all of time, and that the next people that come through can really appreciate the level of craftsmanship that went into this stuff. So even if it's just taking off a few nuts and bolts or removing one little thing, document. That is crucial for preservation, and I just want to put that out there as a fun little but serious public service announcement. Well, I have to tell you, this has been one of the most fun episodes of Restoration Review. We are really starting to see some great progress with 3316 and 5300. We're moving closer. We're getting closer, and that's paramount here. And I have to tell you, it is a joy. It is a true joy to see the craftsmanship of George Harwood and Jamie Partridge come to life. As some of you know or don't know, I don't work here at the museum full-time. I'm a volunteer, and so I have a day job elsewhere. And so the times that I do get to come here, mostly weekends, and on the day off from the day job, I will sometimes come here. And to watch Jamie and George do their craft and to bring these one-of-a-kind artifacts back to life is a true pleasure. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It really is exciting to see them do this, whether it's Jamie being the project manager, knowing how to source things out and doing some of the work himself, or George fabricating this stuff by hand. It is just like, I love to watch it, and I hope you get the same joy that I do watching these guys do their work, obviously after the fact, but I hope you get just as excited as I do. So stay tuned. We got some really great videos coming your way. I always say that, but most of the time it's true. And stay tuned for, at some point in the future, maybe a month and a half, whatever, down the road, we'll do another restoration review. That'll be number 4. And we'll see what kind of progress Jamie and George have made. So take care. This is Trevor from History on the Move. Get out there, look for history, find history, read history, and more importantly, make your own history. Take care.